What is the connection between Daenerys and House of the Dragon? When we watched the first episode of the first season of House of the Dragon, it began with the words, 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen. This suggests to us that there is an important connection between the story of House of the Dragon and the story of this queen who freed the slaves and destroyed King's Landing, a connection much bigger than her own surname. In this video, we will be explaining Daenerys' connection in House of the Dragon, as we are 3 weeks away from the premiere of the second season, and it's time to talk about the Mother of Dragons. And for more videos of your favorite series and movies, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Welcome to the Oasis Geek. Before we continue with this video, I invite you to participate in our new House of the Dragon giveaway, in which we are offering a Funko Pop of one of the characters from the House of the Dragon. To participate, all you have to do is subscribe to this channel and comment on who is your favorite character from House of the Dragon and why. The winner will be announced on June 30th. The second season of House of the Dragon will feature the struggle between two sides. Rhaenyra's side and Alicent's side. An internal struggle between the Targaryen family that was the beginning of the extinction of the dragons. But what is the role of Daenerys in this story? Daenerys Targaryen's story in Game of Thrones begins in Essos, where she was sold to a savage tribe of the Dothraki by her brother Viserys, the same who wanted to have the Iron Throne for himself. Daenerys became a liberator and fought to save humanity from eternal darkness, being one of the key people to defeat the Night King. However, Daenerys was brought down by Jon Snow. Her fall into madness after the death of her loved ones led her to wipe out innocent people in King's Landing. Daenerys ended up as a villain, but House of the Dragon begins by mentioning her name. What could be the reason? When we analyze Daenerys Targaryen's traits, we start to realize that she was not just any Targaryen. While most Targaryens were resistant to fire, Daenerys was immune to fire. She was the only Targaryen who, as far as we know, was able to hatch very old dragon eggs during a ritual. It was thanks to her that magic returned to Westeros. Daenerys may have been the prince that was promised mentioned in the prophecy of Aegon the Conqueror. According to Aegon, from the Targaryen lineage would be born a prince or princess, who would be the one to stop the darkness threatening the world. And although we could say that the one who destroyed the Night King was Arya Stark, without Daenerys, this would not have been possible. Perhaps the purpose of the prince that was promised was to be just at the right time, and as we have mentioned in previous videos, it is possible that even the final purpose of the prince that was promised has not been completed. If indeed Daenerys was the prince that was promised, she could manifest another quality seen in other Targaryens, the ability to resurrect. We already saw in Jon Snow this supernatural ability, and perhaps for that reason Daenerys is mentioned in House of the Dragon, since her story has not yet concluded, but that it is deeply connected to the prophecy of the prince that was promised, and the fight against the Night King. It is possible that in the second season, we will see more references to Daenerys, perhaps the origin of the dragon eggs offered to her in Essos, or many of the legends that made their way to the Red Priestesses. The importance of Daenerys in House of the Dragon is not only her last name, but the outcome. Had Daenerys not existed, the Night's King would have eventually dominated the entire planet. But most important of all, the importance of the prince that was promised is so great in this universe that if indeed Daenerys is that princess that was promised, the chances that we will see her in an upcoming series are quite high. In the past years, we have seen multiple rumors of possible Game of Thrones sequels, from a Jon Snow series, an Arya series, or even the return of Daenerys Targaryen. What is clear is that the end of Game of Thrones laid the groundwork for a sequel. In the final episode of Game of Thrones, we could hear Bran Stark mention that he might be able to track where Drogon, the last living dragon, is headed. It is believed that this dragon is heading to Volantis, a place where the largest temple of the Lord of Light's worshippers is located. The same ones who managed to bring some people back to life in Game of Thrones. The theory posits that when Drogon arrives in Volantis, Daenerys' body will be subjected to a ritual, and she will be resurrected. So, we could see the continuation of Daenerys' story in an upcoming series in this universe. We know that the end of Daenerys was not as supported by many. as it was not to the liking of many viewers, to see how the Queen of the Slaves, the Mother of Dragons, became a cruel tyrant. And even more so now, that House of the Dragon connects the story of the prophecy to that of Daenerys. Her story needs to be continued. I believe that just as other characters have been resurrected as it happened with Jon Snow, Daenerys could also return, and we could see her in an upcoming series. Of course, these TV series have their own canon, and are different from the books, the same ones in which it is still unknown what will happen with Daenerys. So it is possible that if the books explain a different ending for the Mother of Dragons, we may also see an adaptation of this alternate ending in the future. Personally, I think it is very likely that Daenerys was that prince who was promised that Aegon the Conqueror saw, and he possibly saw her with Jon Snow, being these two characters, those heroes who would defeat the darkness, and became the princes who were promised, and stopped the Night King. It is also worth noting that we will eventually have the Aegon the Conqueror series, a series where we will also see the origin of this prophecy, and it is possible that we will see the prophetic dream of Aegon the Conqueror, the same one that led him to write the prophecy on the dagger that we saw in House of the Dragon, and that would lead him to try to unify Westeros. If Aegon saw Daenerys in his vision, it is possible that we will see this character again, even if it is in dreams or prophecies of the future. I think there is still much to know about the story of Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen, and as we had mentioned in a previous video, the chances are high that Bran Stark, the three-eyed raven, is the villain of the story. So it is likely that in the future, we will see a continuation of this story. Daenerys' connection to House of the Dragon is important, and it is much more than just a family name. It is perhaps part of the origin of her own legacy. House of the Dragon will present to us the Dance of the Dragons, an event that ends up causing the extinction of almost all dragons in the world, as the last surviving dragon ended up in the hands of a king who was traumatized by what he experienced during the Dance of the Dragons, and it is theorized that he eventually poisoned his own dragon. I'm talking about one of Rhaenyra Targaryen's sons. This means that House of the Dragon will be showing us the destruction of the dragons, and then Daenerys will later on show us their rebirth. The dance must exist, so that then the prince or princess can arrive. These are the bases for the arrival of Daenerys, a princess who was promised, but who would be betrayed after experiencing madness. Something that perhaps Aegon the Conqueror would never have imagined. No doubt, the Game of Thrones universe has a rather ironic way of fulfilling prophecies. But tell me, what do you think of all this? What do you think of Daenerys' importance in this universe? Are you ready for the second season of House of the Dragon already? And for more videos of your favorite series and movies, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You are on The Oasis Geek.